Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. First of all, I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the equity index futures that I follow, as well as the large cap tech stocks, the Mag 7 stocks. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that, and the ES futures, that's a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the ETF version of that index. And NQ is a derivative of NDX. So the NQ futures are a derivative of NDX, and what traders buy and sell puts and calls in QQQ and NDX, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. For example, setups in the S&P 500 can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. So the setups that I talk about today will be suitable for any of those instruments. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube. For your questions and comments, please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Mark, using trading price time method. Hello, welcome. Glad you're here as well. Here's my agenda for today. First of all, agenda for today, Wednesday, April 10th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today, as well as the rest of the week. And today has certainly been a big day so far, still not over. Then I want to go through my positional analysis for today. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with economic data. Excuse me. And I forgot to bring this over. Give me just a moment. All right, so today, of course, CPI data came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This is from Financial Juice, showing that the CPI data was greater than expected. Looks like it was, most of it was in line with the previous number, but higher than expected. And there was quite a bearish reaction. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. So CPI data out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, greater than expected, and a pretty big drop in the markets, in the futures market based on those numbers. All right, today there was a 10-year note auction at 1 p.m. There was also an initial bearish reaction to that. We'll take a look at that. And then today at 2 p.m., the FOMC minutes come out. So wherever I am, I will stop and we'll watch the S&P 500 and NASDAQ to see if there's any reaction to the FOMC minutes. Then tomorrow, Thursday, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, PPI data comes out. Could be another market mover. And then on Friday, 10 a.m. Michigan Consumer Sentiment to wrap up the week. All right, let's move on to the S&P 500 to positional analysis. And of course, this is the reaction to the CPI data. A huge drop from right around 52.70 to maybe 51.80. So a huge drop in the S&P 500. After the CPI data release, let's zoom in just a little bit. So this is the reaction to the 10-year note auction at 1 p.m. We'll talk more about setups in a few minutes. All right, so this is the S&P 500. We've seen the reactions to the data so far bearish, both to the CPI data and the 10-year note auction. All right, let's take a look now at the larger time frame. We'll take a look at the SPX before we get started with a closer look on this chart. So let's go to SPX. Start with a 1 day so we can go to a higher time frame. SPX, the underlying index. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. The current trend began last year, October 30th. Maybe this looks like the biggest threat to that uptrend so far the last few days. All right, so this is the SPX 1 day chart in Thinkorswim. All right, so let's take a look at the top of this rally now. Let's go to a 1 hour chart. So this is the top of that green trend line. And note that since that top, SPX has been gradually making a series of lower highs. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX last Friday. These lines remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the previous closing price. That's from yesterday. Note there was a very large expected move due to the CPI data that came out today. SPX is trading well below the lower daily expected move. So the expected move for SPX for today was plus or minus 46 points. SPX trading well below that level. And note I do post those levels in Discord every day. All right, the red lines, the red horizontal lines, are showing, these are Spotgamma levels. These are provided to Spotgamma subscribers They're available on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. So first of all, 5,000, that's the absolute gamma strike. That was the put wall yesterday. The put wall did move up. So 5,000 is the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. And above that is the put wall at 5,100. And that's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And again, that level did move up from yesterday. It was at 5,000 yesterday, moved up to 5,100. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 51.95. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. And note that SPX is trading well below that level now. Now above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And then finally, the call wall is up at 5,300. And that's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So this is the first time in a while that the put wall has really been more in play than the call wall. All right, potential floor at 5,100, the put wall. Potential ceiling for price at 5,300, the call wall. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart so we can see the levels in play for today. SPX, 1-minute chart. For today, the spot gamma level in play is the 51.79 zero gamma level that acted as resistance earlier today. Here's the lower daily expected move, now acting as resistance. In SPX, it looks like right after the node auction put in a low of the day, right around 51.38. All right, so again, remember the next level below is the put wall at 5,100. Let's just go check that. All right, so lower weekly expected move right around 51.30, and then there's the put wall at 5,100. So SPX still so far today above the lower weekly expected move. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. All right, so let's take a look at the levels on the Bookmap chart. All right, so in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. And the label, you can't see it there, but that's the 51.79 zero gamma level that did act as resistance earlier today. Hello, Katinga. Welcome. Glad you're here. I'm going to tone down the heat map just a bit so we can see the volume dots better. All right, so I have SPX levels on this chart, and I also have SPY levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 512 level, and around that level did act as support earlier today, and this is the lower weekly expected move for ES. I calculate that separately than the lower weekly expected move for SPX. All right, so here's the SPY 515 level acting as resistance after the impulse move up, after the move down for the node auction. So levels in play after the move down, the cash open, 514, And again, the 516 level and the 5179 zero gamma level. All right, note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And earlier today, it was right around 47 points. So that's about what it is now, somewhere between 46 and 47. I'm using 47. So I'm showing SPX 5150 at ES 5197. And I do post those index relationships in Discord every day. So if you want to show the SPX and SPY levels on your chart, again, I do post the index relationships. All right, let's zoom in on this just a little bit. So we're showing from the cash open on 5147 level. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And again, the 5179 zero gamma level. All right, shifts in levels I mentioned. Put wall shifted higher for SPX and SPY as well. So you can see the SPY put wall down below at 510. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. These are the NQ futures and Bookmap. And I do want to take a look at the underlying index charts. Most important level is this QQQ 435 put wall. Definitely in play for today, acting as support. So let's take a look at the QQQ chart. Here's that put wall at 435, acting as support. So again, it's been a while since a put wall has been in play rather than a call wall. So price, that was support before the cash open, shown in this light gray area. Then the dark area is after the cash open. And since then, NASDAQ is traded in a fairly narrow range. And there are a couple of combo levels in play here. This 436.50, that's a combo 2 level combining QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest, into one combined level here shown in terms of a QQQ price acting as support, and then the 439 level acting as resistance. And that's not a Spotgamma level, that's just a round number in QQQ. So really the range has been from this 436.50 combo 2 level up to the round number level 439 for today after the big move down for the reaction to the CPI data. And you can see this narrow range in NASDAQ after the cash open. Let's take a quick look at NDX. Zoom in just a bit. So again, pretty narrow range after the big drop and the gap down in the case of NDX. Levels in play, 17,988, zero gamma level, and the 18,000 level, not really acting as support or resistance. All right, so just like ES, I have my own cloud notes here, so I can show QQQ levels. There's the put wall, again acting as support, key support for today. There's that 436.50 C2 level acting as support after the cash open. And then the 439 acting as resistance. All right, there were no shifts in levels for NDX or QQQ. So just based on that, a pretty neutral outlook. Of course, that was based on data from open interest yesterday, and that was before the data release this morning. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. Then we'll take a look at the Vanna model. All right, so this is gamma notional, market makers' position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Note these numbers all shifted higher from yesterday and slightly positive for SPX and still negative for SPY and QQQ. So in a positive gamma environment, again, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. The assumption is that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls in a positive gamma environment. Then in a negative gamma environment, the assumption is that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, hence the negative gamma, and they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. So that's at the beginning of the day, again before the data release at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, so let's take a look at the Vanna model now. And anytime there's a data release, I look at this every day. So let's check. This is for SPX, the Vanna model. What this chart is showing is market makers delta notional on the vertical axis, the spot price for SPX. On the horizontal axis, there are two curves on this chart. Light gray curve shows how market makers delta notional may change with changes in price only, and the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers delta notional may change with changes in price and applied volatility, and that change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. Vanna is a second order Greek. So one thing that we can gather from this is if price drops and implied volatility increases, just alone, that will increase market makers delta notional. On the other hand, if price increases, implied volatility drops, that alone will decrease market makers delta notional. All right, so let's take a look at so far the low of the day. Let me check on prices. So for SPX, we know the low of the day was right around 51.38. So that's right around here. Let's go back and check our SPX chart again. 1 minute chart. High of the day right around the zero gamma level at 51.79. So 51.38. Somewhere around here, low of the day. 51.79 right here. So what we know is price dropped today and implied volatility increased. Market makers delta notional increased. Delta notional increases. Market makers want to remain delta neutral, so they had to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. Now this does work the other way. So this is typical in a very negative gamma environment. Remember, SPX is well below its volatility trigger at 51.95. Price drops, implied volatility increases. Market makers have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. If price increases, market and implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back short futures. So this shows how market makers are trading in the direction of price in this negative gamma environment below the volatility trigger. All right, let's move on and take a look at some setups now. And I've got about 5 or 6 minutes before the FOMC minutes. So I'm going to take just a minute to take a look at some setups. All right, so the reason I'm doing this, and this is the attitude that I take when I'm reviewing setups, I want to see what I could have done better. How could I improve? What did I miss? I'll look at some trades today. Some I took, some I didn't. Again, I'm looking at this from a review point, looking at how I can improve, what I did wrong, what I did well, and what can I do better next time. All right, so I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than the Bookmap, is based on static data. Those levels that I was showing that on my charts, that's based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data that's updated once a day, sometime during the night. They apply their algorithms to that data to come up with those levels. And those levels do change every day. That's why I keep track of those. But now let's move on to execution. We're going to take a look at real-time data. So first of all, this is HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options, HIRO. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing, this particular chart for the S&P 500, that's showing a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES options trades, and market maker hedging activity. So again, that's a combined signal for all those forms of the S&P 500. Sorry about that. I have complained to Spotgamma about that banner that keeps popping up. I don't know what the deal is with that. All right, so let's take a closer look at this chart. All right, so the white line on this chart is price for SPX, and the purple line is the HIRO signal. Again, hedging impact real-time options. A rising HIRO signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. A fall, that would be buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling HIRO signal indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. That is buying puts and or selling calls. All right, so let's take a look. Look at the morning. I'm going to zoom in a bit. All right, so right at the cash open, there was a flow alert. You can only see just a little bit of it. But HIRO started to rise. And again, indicating traders are taking positive delta positions. And note the flow alert that comes in right around 1038, signaling the high point. Traders start taking negative delta positions. The S&P 500 moves lower. So a setup, long setup from the open up to 1040, and then a reversal lower. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go back to ES. Zoom in. All right, so we'll do this quickly. I've got about a minute before the FOMC minutes. So traders were taking positive delta positions from the open. And there was a lot of chop, and then finally an entry that took, again, right around the 51.47 and the SPY 513 level. And the S&P 500 made a series of higher lows up to the 51.79 zero gamma level. Then traders, that flow alert came in, traders started taking negative delta positions, and price moved lower. You can see the shift in cumulative volume delta A lot of aggressive sellers come in, shown by the magenta volume dots. All right, let's zoom out. Let's zoom out. FOMC minutes imminent. See if there's any reaction. All right, we'll watch this for a few minutes, then we'll take a look and see what options traders are doing. So far, not really much of a reaction. Well, now another bearish reaction. Zoom in just a bit. All right, let's see if options traders are doing anything. Let's go back to Hero. Zoom out. All right, I'm going to zoom in to the all right, so really no special reaction so far. Hero is moving higher. Let's take a look and see what traders are doing with puts and calls. So today they are buying calls. That's shown by the positive notional value for the orange line. And they're also buying puts. That's shown by the negative notional value for the blue line. And note the balance is pretty close to even for the day. That's a very low number, 158 million. So call buyer slightly more aggressive. All right, let's move back. Take a look at this short setup. This one was a little bit more clear, the flow alert coming in right at the top there. Hero shifted sharply lower. And let's go back to the S&P 500 ES futures. All right, so there's that move lower. The magenta dots, again, the volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Note the stop run up to the 51.79 level. That's shown by the rising yellow line as well as the on-chart indicators. Buyers are exhausted. Aggressive sellers start to come in and price moves lower. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Hello, trading for a living. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, NASDAQ. I'm going to go back to Hero. Let me zoom out. The signal that I look at for the NASDAQ is this MAG7 signal. What this is another combined signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activities. Sorry about that. Man, that is irritating. I don't know if I'll be able to mark this or not. So this is a combined signal, options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Note this signal has been bullish all day. Let's zoom in on this chart. Traders have been taking positive delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks all day, taking advantage of the dip, buying the dip in the Mag 7 stocks. Let's take a look and see what they're doing. So they're buying calls and selling puts. Calls shown by the rising orange line. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right, how about YouTube? All right, can you hear me on YouTube? All right, I'm not sure what happened. I just had to unplug my microphone and then plug it back in. So sorry about that. Looks like I've lost a lot of people. I'm so sorry. Had no idea that my audio was out. All right. So again, sorry, apologies. I'm back now. All right, so we're looking at NASDAQ. Again, remember, oops. We're looking at the Mag 7 hero signal. Traders taking positive delta positions. And not really much of a reaction in the NASDAQ. Slight grind higher. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. There were some better trades in stocks. All right, the first, AMD. So this was a short today, and otherwise all the setups that I'll take a look at were longs. So let's go take a look at Hero for AMD. So AMD initially, let's zoom in a bit, traders were buying calls shown by the rising orange line, and they were also buying puts shown by the falling blue line. Then right around just before 10 a.m., maybe 9:55, traders started selling calls blue line, orange line moving in the same direction, and price moves lower. So it took some patience to wait for this, but as the call signal shifted down, that was the time to take a short. And that was just below the 170 hedge wall. All right, so let's go take a look at AMD. Take a look at Bookmap. 170 hedge wall. And price reverses lower just before 10 a.m. as traders started selling calls. All right, so short setup in AMD. Initial entry right around 10 a.m. Kind of a head and shoulder entry there, head and shoulders, and then pullbacks to VWAP for secondary entries. So continuation or pullback entries for the short to VWAP. That's this light blue line. So again, it took some patience waiting for that call signal to shift lower. All right, so the next setup is Coinbase. Just the opposites here. Opposite, great long from the open. Let's take a look and see what options traders are doing. Let's go to Coinbase. So initially in Coinbase, traders were selling puts shown by the rising blue line. They were also buying calls. Note the flow alert right around 9:45, signaling significant options activity. And also note the call buyers take their foot off the gas right around 10:40 and price consolidates. So the initial move up was from about 9:30 to 10:40. Call buyers took their foot off the gas. They continued to sell puts, but that fuel from the call buyers stopped right around 10:40 and price started to consolidate. Still grinding higher as traders continue to sell puts. So let's go back to Bookmap, Coinbase. Let's zoom in a bit. There's an initial thrust lower. This is the absorption indicator showing that buyers limit buy orders, absorb those aggressive sellers. Price started to make higher lows, pull back to VWAP. This time did not make it quite to VWAP. More pullbacks. Then right around 10:40, call buyers take the foot off the gas and Coinbase consolidates. Stops making higher highs. Actually, then now traders have they're starting to sell puts again. Price moved up to the 250 key gamma strike. Let's go back to Hero. I'm going to shift back to the total signal. So Coinbase has been grinding higher, even though the hero signal is flat. Looks like maybe finding some resistance at the 250 key gamma strike. All right, the next is Meta. Another long today. Dip buyers, flow alerts come in right after the open, then another one around 940. Let's see what traders are doing. So they're selling puts and buying calls. It looks like the put sellers were the driving factor in the morning. Let's go back to the total signal. I'm going to have to jump again. Go back to Meta just to avoid that auto zoom. Flow alerts, traders taking positive delta positions, selling puts and buying calls. Take their foot off the gas around 11:10. Now the hero signal is starting to rise again. Just a little bit. All right, so this is very typical price action, aggressive. Options traders in the morning take their foot off the gas, mid to late morning, and price consolidates. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go to Meta. This is very typical for Meta. Oops, too much. Quick thrust higher, then deep pullbacks. So if you miss that initial long, deep pullbacks to get long as traders continue to take positive delta options positions, then price consolidating around 11:10, 11:15 as options traders took their foot off the gas. All right, let's go back to Hero. All right, so we saw with Coinbase, there were alerts, Hero rising, long entries, pullback entries, Meta the same, alerts, traders taking positive delta positions, pullback entries. And then the last one I want to take a look at is NVIDIA. Aggressive options traders in the morning. Let's take a look at NVIDIA, see what they were doing. I'm going to shift to puts and calls. Then we'll go to NVIDIA. Traders buying calls and selling puts. Note that 865 is the hedge wall. 825 is the put wall. Flow alert. Just a few minutes after the cash open. Traders aggressively buying calls. That slows down a bit. They're also selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. And then finally, right around 11:30, they take their foot off the gas and NVIDIA consolidates. And Katinga wants to take a look at Amazon. Let's do that. All right, so the hero signal pretty choppy. Several flow alerts. Spotgamma has indicated that When there are several flow alerts in a row, this can often indicate chop. So overall, though, the trend is higher. Positive notion of value, traders taking positive delta positions. Let's go take a look at a Bookmap. We'll go to Amazon. So initial drop lower in Amazon. This was before the cash open, then the cash open. This is the opening print. Amazon grinding higher. Pullback to VWAP. Note the falling cumulative volume delta. It looks like options traders definitely driving price in Amazon today. All right, any other stocks? Does anyone have any other stocks they want me to take a look at? So again, Amazon, pullback to VWAP, another pullback. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. See what it's done since the FOMC minutes. Not much. Chopping up and down around 514. Let's go back to Hero. Go to the S&P 500. Both the Hero signal and the S&P 500 moving sideways. Let's check the Mag 7. That Hero signal continues to move higher. I'm just scanning some charts, seeing if I see anything for a setup. Let's take a look at Tesla. It's looking somewhat weak. Just chopping. So Tesla, good short in the morning. Hero signal. Flow alert. Hero signal moving lower. And options traders took the foot off the gas pretty quickly, right around 950, and looks like Tesla has chopped around since then. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Looks like the S&P 500 moving lower now. Look at all the magenta volume dots. There are definitely some aggressive sellers here in Tesla. There's the initial move lower as traders were taking negative delta positions, and then chop pretty much ever since then. Again, that's a lot of magenta volume dots, a lot of aggressive sellers. All right, WRB, there you go. There's Tesla. Good move lower in the morning. Hero signal, falling hero signal, flow alert, and then chopping up and down between 171 and 73. All right, let's take a look at something else. See if we see any setups. One thing that I like to do in the morning is watch for these alerts. So I pointed out the alerts in Coinbase, Meta, Nvidia, and in Tesla. Well, it now looks like some buyers are coming in Tesla. Let's see what they're doing. It looks like they may be selling puts. Rising hero signal. And you're welcome, WRB. Let's see if there's any response in Tesla to that hero signal. Let's go. So far, it looks like there's no response. We'll go to Bookmap, go to Tesla, and so far, no response. Still a lot of magenta volume dots, aggressive sellers. So Tesla's still making a series of lower highs down below VWAP. If I were interested in long, I would look for Tesla to move up above VWAP and to start making a series of higher lows and higher highs. And so far, that's not happening. Let's go back to Hero. No alerts coming in. So let's go back to the full screen. Maybe take a look at AMD. KP wants to take a look at ACB. Not sure what that is. I don't have ACB in Bookmap. We can take a look at Hero. Are you sure that's the correct ticker? There's nothing in Hero. So sorry, KP. All right, AMD. Not much. Take a look at Google. Google trying to move higher. Let's do a quick scan. All right, Microsoft. Hero signal moving higher. Looks like Microsoft is up near recent highs. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Microsoft. All right, so Microsoft up near the upper end of its range during the regular trading hours, right around 422. So big move down like everything else, then a narrow range 420 to 422 after that. Mostly aggressive sellers shown by the falling cumulative volume delta, which really started to move down right around 1145. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. Right now, this can happen with Microsoft. These big block orders, institutional orders, up, down. moving the hero signal up and down. All right, let's do a quick scan through Tesla. Still flat. NVIDIA. Hero signal flat to rising. NVIDIA flat. Meta. Still consolidating. And Google also up near the highs of the cash session. Amazon. Hero signal continues to rise. Let's go back to Bookmap. Take a look at Amazon. All right, so maybe potential long on a pullback. Looks like there would not be much range in that. Maybe at 185. Let's go check NASDAQ. A lot of lines on the chart. Sorry about that. NASDAQ still stuck in a range. Let's see what the Mag 7 traders are doing. So this is shown price shown in terms of QQQ. So maybe if there's a pullback to this previous low, maybe a long. So that would be that 436.50 that has acted as support several times today. All right, everyone, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. And I will see you on Friday. Remember, PPI data tomorrow out tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Michigan Consumer Sentiment, 10 a.m. on Friday. So we'll talk about it on Friday. Everyone, have a great afternoon. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. And I will see you on Friday. Bye.